Most women entrepreneurs are creating more content than ever, but they're making less money. And the problem isn't that their content's bad or wrong, it's that no one ever taught them the system on how to turn their voice into sales. So, hi, I'm Heather Havenwood, founder of Voice to Millions, where we help women turn their voice into income, influence, and scalable businesses using the voice method. Because here's the truth, your voice is frequency. And when you learn how to structure that frequency into media, offers, and events, that's when it becomes wealth. So most women, again, are taught that if you want to build a business online, you must post more content, show up more, stay consistent. And women are really great at showing up. But what they've never been taught how to do is actually create that content and turn that into cash. So here's what happens. Right now, there's a lot of people out there talking about posting great content, obviously, and that's what I'm doing now. So, yes, this is where you start to attract your client. At one point, I actually was interviewed over 500 times on podcasts, but what I didn't do is one, I didn't repurpose the content, and two, I didn't move people into a actually an offer. And yeah, I actually got a ton of exposure and a ton of traffic, but a lot of that just kind of got dumped off into the wayside. And women get stuck in posting, engaging, and then hoping people will DM you and just say, yes, I want to work with you. So that's why I created something called the voice method. The voice method is a simple system that turns your voice into one to many sales, basically a one to many event. It could be a workshop, it could be a masterclass, it could be a webinar, it could be a 1 day event, it could be a 3 day event. The system about voice is all about that engagement. How do you actually turn your voice, your content into sales? All right, so let's talk about the first step, voice. Your voice is a frequency. So it includes your ideas, your story, your perspective, your leadership, and your opinions. So most women, we are taught definitely to suppress our voice because we believe that no one wants to hear it, or I'm not good enough, or we've been told that. I know for myself, I was told that when I was a young age. My father would turn to me when I said some opinion and he'd say, did anyone ask you your opinion? And then, of course, I would say no. And then he would look at me like, we didn't ask you. That's probably not your experience with your parents. Maybe it is, but it happens a lot growing up. And then we are here in this new world of social media. So if you've overcome that and you're posting a ton of content with not only just creating content of using other people's stuff, but actually your opinions, your voice is literally a frequency and a signal that attracts people. I know for myself that if I listen to content by somebody and I don't like how they sound, or maybe I don't resonate with them, that is a frequency, right? So you are attracting people into your world through your voice and through your frequency. So that's why I'm a big believer, especially right now, is as you're creating content, is to get your face out there and your frequency, your voice versus AI. Now, you can use AI in a ton of different ways, and I'm a huge proponent of AI for leverageability and creating all different things. But actually, the voice, I think, is really important because the voice is your frequency and attracts people. And then media becomes the amplifier. So, of course, we have media, YouTube, podcast, social media, speaking. All of those are your frequency. And when you consistently broadcast your voice, you begin attracting the right audience. You know this, that's why you're here. The second step is offer. This is where a lot of people get stuck. I mean, how do you actually put yourself inside of a box and then sell it? And that's one of the hardest things people have in this business. It's really easy to sell other people's products, or if you're an affiliate on TikTok or whatnot, it's a lot easier to sell other people's products because it's not you. But when you actually move into selling yourself on social media and packaging yourself, it becomes and feels personal. So you create content, but you have no structure on how people buy. That's a big deal. And this offer is the structure. I call it eating the elephant. So when you position your offer, you're kind of creating an elephant for someone to quote unquote eat or consume or to go through to have the transformation of after working with you. Okay. So what is the offer? The offer is the promise, the transformation, and then the container that people enter, which is a really important part. People need to feel like they're moving into a container, some level container, when they are buying your offer. Now, if it's a low ticket offer, 27 all the way up to $500, it could just be an opt-in or a login for something. But whenever you're moving into what I call medium ticket, high ticket, or extreme high ticket, people really want that community and they want to feel like they're in some kind of containment. Okay. So let's talk about that. These could be, of course, programs, workshops, mastermind, or just trainings, boot camps. I love doing a 8 to 10 week boot camp because there's a start and there's an end, and people feel like they're going through something versus here's a login to a bunch of stuff and I'll see you on the call. That's great, but I think right now people really love that kind of training. 8 week training starts at this day, ends at this time. All right. And so let's just kind of recap. Your voice attracts attention and your offer gives that attention a direction. Or kind of like when you go through this, then you'll get this result. Let's talk about the invitation. I for invitation. Um, this is what I call the event model. I still feel right now that events are the best way to sell anything over $1,000. So instead of chasing clients one by one or to get them on a call, I invite people into a live experience, or sometimes it could be what I call semi-live experience. But a live experience is the best. It could be a masterclass, a workshop, online or offline presentation, 1 day event, 3 day event. During COVID, I was doing a ton of 3 day events and really did very well doing those. And I had clients do that as well. But I think right now, what I see people that they really enjoy is either a challenge which starts and ends over 3 to 5 days, and they're in some kind of group. I also see 1 day events really doing well between 2 to 3 hours. People call that webinars, people call that a 1 day event, people call it a masterclass, whatever your take of that. I think that's one of the best ways to actually really move people down the transformation of working with you and give them an invitation to either buy right there or to call an application funnel. The invitation is really where your voice steps into becoming a leader or leadership with your potential client, right? It's really where you begin to move into that presentation. And I want to share you a quick story. I actually got started in the information marketing industry back in 2001, like a really long time ago. And back then, and I did it for almost a decade, what I would do is I would travel the country, basically go to the airport, get on a flight, fly somewhere, get to a hotel, a really cold hotel at 65 degrees, and then we would give a 90-minute presentation and we would pitch people a $3,000 3 day training. Now, what's so funny about that, and I did that for 10 years and made a lot of money doing it for a company that made a lot more money doing it, is that actually still works. Okay, it still works. So 90-minute presentation, 90-minute live start time, end time webinar, live event, right? Moving people into some kind of training, two or three or four or five, anything under $5,000 to go from cold to warm traffic. That's kind of that conversion works really well. Still works. Why? Because people are used to it. Even though AI has gotten is here and it's growing, I love it. Human beings haven't changed that much. How we buy, why we buy. So this invitation is still really, really important, and it works. C is for conversion. All right, this is the pitch. Conversion is simply the sales pitch, helping people say yes to your offer. And this is where I thrive. This is kind of my secret sauce. This is what I literally back in the day and those 10 years when I traveled, if we did not convert those people after we flew there and slept in a hotel, we didn't make any money. I call it from ramen noodles to Ruth Chris. What are we eating tonight? Really dependent on how many people that we went from cold to selling a $3,000 program. So there is an art and science to sales. There's an art and science to pitch in what I call the conversion invitation. This is kind of my sweet spot. So no bro marketing, no manipulation, but what some things that people really want to see when they are making decisions on an offer like that between 2 to 5,000 or more, just dollars. They want clarity in the offer. It's really critical. Leadership, like, can I trust this person to take me through the process? And then the invitation, really clear on the invitation. Like, what do I need to do next? That is a really hard to do. I've seen so many people do pitch presentations, and on one of those three pillars, that gets kind of wonky. So, but you got to have clarity, like what actually is the offer, very clear on what it is. Leadership, that's a trust factor. Do I trust you to take you through the process? Do I trust all these pieces? Does it have everything I need to that I feel I'm going to be able to make that transformation with you? And then what's that clear invitation? When's the door open? When's the door closing? How much is it? What's the deposit? Like super clear. Clarity begets clarity. Confused mind never buys. So when your offer, your message, and your invitation are fully aligned, sales become really natural. And the last part of the voice method, E, is expansion. The final step is expansion. This is where wealth really grows. Once you have a very clear event or a conversion event, a very clear offer, this is where scale gets to happen, right? Now, if you're thinking to yourself, do one day events really work? I will take you back to August of 2025. Alex Hormozy did an online event that started at 12 o'clock Eastern on a Saturday. It was supposed to go for a couple hours. I think I was on there for, well, at least 12 hours. And then he came back the next day and he just kept going and kept going. And people tuned in from all over the world. And he, what they call broke the internet. Technically, it was a 1 day event. And I believe he crossed the $150 million mark in sales. And that was in August of 2025. So do they work? Yeah, they work. But there's a system to it. There's a structure to it, right? So once the system works, you can expand through it. Another example, just in case you don't believe me, you've ever probably heard of this event called Unleash the Power Within. It's a 3 day in-person event, but also online hybrid event sometimes with Tony Robbins. Now, Tony Robbins, last I heard, his business is around the $100 million mark. Again, that's the last heard of that. It may be less or more at this point. But he's been doing the Unleash the Power Within, a 3 day event where he pitches his products at the event. He's been doing that event for approximately 40 years. So if I said to you, create an event, a 3 day event, online or in person, and do that event every quarter for the next 40 years, and you'll be a multimillionaire, would you do it? That's Tony Robbins' entire business model. Unleash the Power Within is his primary like his church. I call it the church. And then from there, he sells all his products. So the voice method is simple. V stands for voice, which is attraction. O stands for offer, which is like the structure. I is invitation, right? This is where you start to invite people into your event, 1 day event, things like that to sell the offer. C stands for conversion, selling the offer, and then expansion, rinse, repeat, and scale. When women stop silencing their voice and start broadcasting their frequency and their opinion, everything changes. All right. So my name is Heather Havenwood. Thanks for being here. If you're creating content, but it's not turning into cash flow or it's not scaling the way you like, come check me out at Voice to Millions and Voice to Millions Live.